everyone. Today is April 3rd, 2018, and you are listening to The Lifting. I am Joanna Michaels, and I am joined tonight by the other hosts of the show, Christopher Stephen Jacobs and Katrina Schaff. And as always, we are thrilled you have joined us for this conversation of co-creative abilities and how we potentially interfere with others' learning experiences or soul mission. And now, as always, before we get to tonight's topic, and we're jumping right into it, we have our affirmation and blessing. So, Katrina, if you don't mind reading that for us now.
Every word you speak and every thought you think is an affirmation for your future.
Okay, so I don't actually find this an easy show tonight. I always think that it is hard to really take a close look at ourselves and untangle the ball of mess that we have gotten ourselves into. And I am being pretty literal here. I mean, just the ball of mess of our own selves. Forget those around us or the societal ball of mess that we are in, because the societal mess will unravel as we fix ourselves and see the world around us a bit more clearly and learn to navigate through it more to our highest good. This is one truth that I know to be true. Who am I to know what anyone else's soul mission or learning experience are to be? Do I exactly know mine? Well, no, not exactly. I think I am working towards it, but I do not know it. I really don't. No, I don't. Does Chris or Katrina? Well, I think they are in the same boat as me. With the guides, will the guides tell us exactly what that is, our soul missions? No, they will not. Why? Well, they liken it to cheating. It is to be an experience of growth with the faith and understanding that the overage of negativity will be handled and the expectation that we drive our own ship. One of the premises of our times here is that the learning experience offers duality to bounce off one another. So, as we have said before, many of us have had a multitude of lives here. Some of them we have been good, and some of them we have been bad, and some of them we have been both. The goal in the end is to be balanced and have understanding. So who am I to know which is the needed experience of another, and whether they are a student, a teacher, a victim, a rub, or whatever? Or, as an interesting tapestry goes, all of the above within one life. And that is the truth. We do not know. We are not supposed to see behind the curtain yet. Our understanding of where we are is to just focus on understanding ourselves, and that the possibility of truth is that we have done it all. So how do you feel about yourself? Overall, that is. I mean, take into account the possibility that you have been a Mother Teresa in some lives and more of a serial killer in others to learn it all. All of us most likely have ruled in some way and been good and ruthless. If you can accept this as truth, how do you feel about yourself overall? Well, for me, I do accept this as truth. And my opinion is that there is value to this learning experience to understand what it takes to really fully understand. So if I feel that way for myself, how can I not feel that way for others? And since I see the value in it all, how can I say good or bad? Because now I see the experience. Now, please don't misunderstand. There are certainly types of behavior I wish not to exhibit or be around anymore. I just understand how we learn from them. What also amazes me is if we are all individual threads, that how amazing is the tapestry of all of us. All of these movements intertwining our meetings. Sometimes we are teachers, sometimes students, sometimes those are drawn to you, and sometimes you are a rub. And many times all in one day. It is truly amazing. So just in case some of you think I have gotten off topic, let me tie it all back together. If you really think of it all and you come to the same conclusion as I, that there have been meaningful purpose to do all of this, do you want to intervene in someone else's meaningful purpose? Really? I think most here will say no, because you are respectful and do care, and you hope you will be honored as well by others. So I want to get back to something that was said in the blog. This is about your thoughts towards someone else. So again, I ask, have you ever thought of someone else's life and said to yourself that they would be happier if they would just listen to your advice or just see things as you do? Or have you ever been angry at someone and wished them unhappiness or harm? Again, doing this, having these thoughts, has been quite normal. And I really repeat, it is a normal part of the human psyche. And as we have said before, having a momentary thought does not immediately co-create. So now ask yourself, have I dwelled in some of these thoughts? Have you spent hours or days or longer repeating this over and over in your minds? Unfortunately, many of us have to admit yes to this. And as said in the blog, now we need to talk. Why? Because what do you think repeating a thought with intention behind it is actually doing? Repeating it over and over. Any visual clues coming to mind? What about a person huddled around a kettle in perhaps all black with a pointy hat? And if you are thinking which, well, yes, that is the visualization I was going for. And what are witches known for? Conjuring, right? So here's the rub. What you are taught to believe is that in order to conjure, you need special spices and tinctures to do it with. And I am not saying that that can't help. But what you really need is intent and psychic abilities. And oh, by the way, did I tell you that we all have psychic abilities? Yes, I have, many times. So I hope for many of you something is clicking in your heads. And so this is where our perception point can have us seeing things only from our perception point. And without perspective towards another's perception point, we at times decide that our perception point is the only one, the only correct path. And maybe that is true. Well, actually, it is true, but it is only true for you and you alone. Each one of us is our own pie of understanding everything. And we each cut our own pie however we want to come to the same conclusion that we are a pie of everything. How amazing is it that the source called out a pie called you? Sometimes I think about that and I am in awe that I exist at all. I mean, the source made a me pie. Then he gave me a knife and told me to go at it. Or I think usually hear of a 1-year-old birthday party, and I think, well, maybe he didn't give me a knife. He just said, "Go at it." Oh, and I did. A mess from head to toes and splattered all about. So if I had a ruthless life, I'm telling you I went for it. I am sure I did. And uh and I'm sure I had a few, and I really am sure that I went for it too. And I believe you did too. So who am I to know what type of life a person is having and what is needed for their ultimate balance and understanding? And I'm not supposed to. I am just supposed to focus on me and understanding these concepts for what they are. And now I have come to the conclusion that I am ready to leave this and move on to a new learning phase. I am darn sure of that. Believe me, I am ready to move on. How freeing it is to realize that I really only have to drive one ship, just mine. Can you feel the shackles coming off, folks? Think about it. Understanding this should make you feel a little bit lighter. Learning how powerful you are as a co-creator is important, and learning how we do not know that, thus we contributed to confusion, is also important. My conclusion is that if we wish for overage to learning experience be dealt with and just wish for another's highest good, then we show love, caring, and respect to another's sacred journey. And isn't that what we really want for ourselves and others? Sharing your experiences and what choices you made and what seemed to work and not work is a contribution that allows another to reflect. But they alone will discern and choose what is best for them and their learning experience, just as we have all done. There is no right or wrong way to cut your own pie. Chris has reflected and has tried to come up with some good examples of when we accidentally interfere with someone else. So please listen to him. Chris?
Yes, give me just a moment. Gotta slide this mic a little closer. All right. Here we go. I would like to speak about a subject that virtually no one knows about. You may ask yourself, how are good intentions harmful to anyone? I will give you a few examples of what I call the Good Samaritan concept, and supply you with all will. Okay, excuse me. I am so very sorry. Then supply you all with a ward, revocation, and audit that has proven its worth for us in recent days. Example 1. Someone who feels you need a break or are tired. Like any other attachment or entanglement, this one can have a disastrous effect on you. Say you are working a job or career that you love, but to others seem like you spend far too much time doing it and not enough time, quote unquote, for yourself. Even though the work you love is the same as taking time off, some people just do not see it this way and will insist you need a break from your work. In this sense, they are harming you energetically and physically because their co-creative abilities are much stronger than they currently know or understand. This may actually make you tired or sick of life you love because others have a far different opinion of what they do not understand. This concept also applies to the next example. Example 2. Soul Savers. This is a group that actually does the most energetic damage, in my opinion, and does so under the guise or belief that people that do not follow their faith or need constant prayers or cleansings. Some have even gone so far to believe that I had demons around me when I did not, therefore co-creating the very demons that were not there before. In this, I say a soul saver. Okay, hang on. I'm going to start over there. In this, say a soul saver is praying for your immortal soul that you will somehow see the light, quote unquote, and break away from your evil deeds, quote unquote. In my case, I am a psychic that churchgoers find evil. So, imagine for a moment that 10, 100, or even 1,000 people all believe this. This belief would stagnate a business reliant upon the monies received by clients for products or services rendered because overly righteous indignation was responsible for this thought being projected. As was stated previously, people do not yet know their full co-creative potential, and thusly will send what they perceive as a positive thought or energy to you, but it is actually the opposite. The programming is so very thick with them that that negotiating with them is usually impossible, seeing as they see what you are doing as quote unquote against God or quote unquote not Jesus. I am not saying that we are stagnant, I am just using this as an example. Example 3. This ties into the previous show about possession and oppression, whereas someone that is possessed, that lives in your presence or other, can actually send what they perceive as good thought to you. Usually all of the aforementioned. This can stagnate any good timeline that you are on, be it in love, business, etc. From that person's perspective, they are thinking and doing good, but it is anything but. Example 4. People who think that not working a normal job and providing, quote unquote, in a normal way are somehow, quote unquote, off track and need to be helped or see the light. In this, some of these people may actually heavily believe that working till you die is the best policy for everyone and send you those thoughts and energy. In this may stagnate what you are trying to accomplish in life and needs to be warded from. What those people do not realize is that by sending those thoughts out, they are spreading a very dangerous set of programming to you on an energetic level. This applies to all of the aforementioned. Example 5. Psychics that believe that charging is somehow immoral and wrong in some way. I run into this quite a bit, actually. These people, though psychic, believe so strongly that what I do and others that charge for psychic service is evil, immoral, and unethical, that they can also stagnate any business ventures that paid psychics would have. Not saying this has happened to us, I'm just using this as an example. I have been told by one of these psychic channelers that their guides, quote unquote, told them never to charge or they would walk away from them. First off, your benevolent guides will never walk away from you. And second, only a negative entity or a very opinionated, negative butthurt galactic will ever issue an edict like that. 9 times out of 10, though, it is a sphere or other demon entity trying to make a for and against, or make it so that someone that has so much to contribute by utilizing the current corrupted system to everyone's advantage, even themselves, seems wrong and evil to them. This, in turn, then causes a for and against when they fight their fellow psychics and seers, praying for them to stop their evil ways or sending their guides to please stop the evil from spreading. Does any of this sound familiar to anyone? If so, use this ward, revocation, and audit. It has worked for us in semi-stagnant times. And that one will be said at the very end of this particular segment. Example 6. I am guilty of this one myself. I knew a couple that I was using my thoughts and energy on to keep them together or stable. In this, I was preventing them from evolving or growing by exploring this expression for themselves. I was this guilty party stagnating them out of my good intentions. I have since let this go and have allowed the chips to fall where they may. I have also regained more of my very own energy back because it was an unnecessary entanglement on my part. Sometimes caring for someone is not interfering in their life and watching them evolve all on their very own. Example 7. I am also guilty of this one. Many psychics and seers are and do not even realize that it is a violation. I'm talking about quote-unquote looking at or healing someone who has not given their permission. I, like many others, thought it was for the person's highest good that I cleared them because I perceived all of what was around them as not for their highest good. When I attempted to remove the demon Draco from a friend's presence, Michael actually stopped me. I was very angry and wondered why they would allow an enemy to remain attached to a good person. He then told me that it was for his learning and would be removed at the moment he learned what he needed to learn from it. This turned out to be true because his life is much richer for it. Not all darkness is an overage. Another example of this sort of violation is when I used to work on people's energy for other people. I still do if the person gave prior permission. However, I used to view it as I was removing the evil for their highest good because the family was endangered by it. In some cases, the higher soul self will cry out for help. This is all the permission that I need, even if the human possessed aspect refuses to allow it. In that case, working on them is fine since it is determined that it is overage. However, I have learned this lesson the extreme hard way when a client asked me to look into a former friend that betrayed them. When I did so, I determined that this person was an inborn and told the client to avoid them. However, by doing this, I actually gave an edict that I should not have. Should people be around toxic energies not for their highest good? Yes, but in this case, this gave the inborn the fuel to cause several for and against and smear my name a bit. I was told this was a lesson for me not to tread in areas where I have no permission and to curb my ego at the door. And now I will read for you what I call the Good Samaritan ward revocation and audit. May my business life, home life, and meaningful relationships forever not be influenced by those with good co-creative intent geared towards the wrong means and ends. May their heart space forever discern that we are not in need. The assistance, though very well intentioned, harms my well-being and is hereby warded against, revoked, and audited in all dimensions, expressions, alternate universes, collapsing and invading timelines, as well as within my very own energy field and energy influences. From this day forward, may these people that feel I have ill intent towards them because of negative influences upon them be forever at peace within as well as around them. It is forever so. And then I added some more to this later on. May we be forever warded from the following intentions. Number 1. People that feel they need to save our souls. Number 2. People that feel that we should just give everything away and not charge. Number 3. People that feel we must work a quote-unquote normal job and do psychic work on the side. Number 4. People that feel we need to just wake up and work a normal job. Number 5. People that are inborns, that influence others to turn against us, both psychically and physically. This influence can include the aforementioned. Number 6. People that reiterate that I am burnt out and need a long break. May all of these influences be warded against, revoked, and audited as of right now, which is actually 5:33 p.m. Pacific and Arizona Standard Time, 4/3/18, or whenever you are listening to this recording. Now, I will pass this on to my mother, who has some very good points to add to this.
Good evening, everyone. Our intention, whether weak or strong, can both change the outcome of an issue in some way. Whether our words of intention come from our heart, our brain, our beliefs, or from our anger, they all can interfere with another person's path or enable someone not to take charge of their responsibilities. Bad intentions sent with strong negative emotion, anger, revenge, and so on can actually really hurt someone. We feel these bad intentions hit us sometimes physically and emotionally. At times, these negative thoughts and words are not always felt, but we can still take them on. When positive thoughts of love and caring come our way, we feel them and take them on too. One is negative and one is positive, but both can be harmful if they change the way things go, if they enable the person receiving the intention or change someone's path in any way. Thinking negatively about someone, sending bad wishes towards another, or anything you say out loud against someone are powerful things that can really hurt that other person and can also bring your energy down. It may make you feel better, but in the long run, these negative thoughts and words affect both the sender and the receiver in the same way. Our words or thoughts are powerful. Everything we say and do goes out to the universe, so think before you send out something that you would not want coming back at you. My suggestion is, if you send something out that could hurt you or someone else, and that, be very careful because it's going to come back. Cancel it before everyone feels its negative energy. There are many ways we send our prayers and thoughts out to someone. We do it from the heart. When something is bad, we want to make it right. When someone is sick, we want them well. Our words from the heart especially come into play when someone we love is dying. It is not wrong to want to help another human being, but praying for someone not to die may be keeping them in a suffering mode when they actually want to go. Releasing them and letting them choose their own exit point is really loving them. Releasing someone out of love is one of the greatest gifts we can give someone. I have clients that ask me to send healing energy to a friend or a loved one. I always tell them it is not my place to make that decision for someone I do not know. My client nor me do not have the right to make that decision for someone else. All requests should come from the individual that needs the help. They should never come from someone that thinks they know what is best for that person or from me. It must come from them. Then and only then will I decide how to continue. In some cases, the answer for me from my guides is, yes, do what you can. But usually the answer is no, because it is their path to follow and or their path to change the situation. We can always send love for their highest good and let their soul choose the outcome of the situation. When someone is dying, there are times when some or all healing is allowed, but that person has to decide if the healing should occur. Of course, we do not want that person to die. That is a natural response. Our next response is to pray and send out passionate pleas that they do not die. The power in these pleas can hold a soul that is supposed to leave and keeps that person in a state of illness and in limbo. Send your love for the highest good and let them decide on their health and on whether they want to stay or they want to go. We can love and help someone too much. Parents do this with their children because of our overwhelming need to not lose them or the need to guide them away from the wrong direction. We shelter them, pray for they are safe, healthy, and happy, and to protect them from the outside forces. We even go so far as to homeschool them at times so they will avoid any negative interactions. We can interfere so much we keep them from experiencing obstacles in life, different types of people as well as friends, and this keeps them from knowing how to accept differences, different types of people, places and things, and hinders them on how to make the right decisions for themselves. We love them so much, we block them from the important things that help them grow and to survive on their own. I'm not saying to not protect and love your children, but not to worry so much about what could happen to them and the effect it would have on you. Our words and actions can overprotect them out of a life that should be run by them. Your love and advice are good things, but sheltering someone from life itself is not loving them. They must live both good and bad experiences so they will know what to do and how to handle basic life issues, so they do not live a life of What do I do? Or have no common sense. The words and teachings you gave them will help them in life and are remembered at times they need to make important choices and decisions. They do not forget what you taught them. Your wish for them is they choose what is best for their highest good. Some of their choices will be wrong, but that is how we grow and learn not to make that poor choice again. We all want to change people and events to suit us. We want to help our loved ones and our friends with both good and bad issues. We want to be their savior. We do this mostly out of love, but we also like to change people based on our own beliefs and our biases. We can make ourselves judge and jury of everyone because we feel our way is the only way. We can go so far as putting someone down and telling them how wrong they are, or become as petty as to tell them how poorly they look. We say we want the best for someone, but it is usually that we want an outcome for what is best for us. Loving someone by interfering with their paths causes problems that would have been handled just by letting that person decide for themselves the best way to handle a problem or take steps to make the right decision. We want, and we usually think we want the best for them, but their own soul knows what it needs to say and do. It is up to them to decide what is best for them. Love, guidance, and words of wisdom passed on by you can help mold them into good, productive people, but important decisions and choices in life are theirs to make. To some of our listeners out there, I am sure you think what I am saying is kind of cold and unnecessary. Please know that I am not telling you to desert the people you love, but I am asking you to love them enough to set them free. I'm asking you to trust in them and a higher power to do what they need to do and to let them make the right and best choices in life for them. Just know you can love someone without taking over their rights and their destiny. Ask for all things for their highest good. That is trusting them and letting them make their own decisions. This is truly loving someone. This is accepting their path and knowing all is as it should be. Thank you for listening.
All right, that was very good. Tonight we're doing things a bit differently. First, we'll look for if the Galactics wish to contribute, but we are actually answering a few questions for the Q&A, since we're not doing the Q&A shows any longer. We're answering 3 questions at the end of this show. So the whole time my mother was sitting there, Isaac was trying to wave at me. So I kept asking if there were other Galactics that wanted to talk, and not Isaac, and they said no. So
the Isaac show tonight.
Yeah. There's even been a suggestion where he could get his own show, but the other skulls don't want me to humor him. So I'll see what he wishes to say. And hold on a second. Yes, I understand you want to speak, so you can actually go ahead and do that now. Oh, okay. He's taking his sweet time. Give me a minute. Greetings, all of you. You know me as Isaac. I will keep this brief. When you send your thoughts, emotions, feelings, and your aspirations, or lack thereof, out to a particular person or set of people, you are actually changing that flow of energy that allows them to control their own destiny. What I'm saying is this. When you think a particular thought or feeling about someone, you may not know that you are actually writing their narrative, or at least adding to their narrative. I'm not saying you can completely control them. I'm saying you can affect them. Think a moment, if you will, of a script being written. A fictional one, not the bad kind. Of a story where you write this person as a bad guy, and you write particular actions for said person. In this particular scenario, you may also notice that this particular person is mirroring some of those particular actions. or that, say, a job position you have this person in the story is something that they truly attain. This is something that you are writing from your heart space, so therefore it manifests very quickly. In this, I am just saying, I'm not saying not write a script. No, not at all. I am just saying that do not put such harsh intentions towards your target. Keep fiction fiction. Keep your manifestations manifesting, and in the positive polarity and balanced polarities. Now, in regards to healing, I can say this. If you wish to create a character, let's say, of somebody you know, but that they are perfectly healthy, you are sending them healing energies, and therefore you are actually helping them out. If you are creating characters based on friends that you wish to have their lessons learned by them, and therefore it happens, you are creating something good. I am just saying, not always is it good. If you are a fiction writer, may I suggest that you create a ward to go with this, so you do not co-create something that could backlash and stagnate your own energy and your own timeline in the process. This is what I came in to say this evening. Blessings to you all. Thank you. All right. Let's see here. Is there anybody else that wants to speak, or was it just him? Oh, it was just you, Isaac? Okay. I guess we can move on to the questions now.
Sure.
Yeah.
So we decided, as we said before, that we were going to start adding questions, a few questions to each show rather than have a completely separate Q&A. And let me kind of give you an understanding as to why. This actually came up as a question from somebody when I was writing emails with, and I didn't quite understand some of their perspectives. And we had told many of you out there to be specific with your questions you're asking, not general, but we were still getting a lot of things where people were sending us, hey, watch this video, watch this, tell me, what do you really think about? What do you really think about the person who's saying it? What do you really think about the information? And the fact that the videos or whatever that would come in could be, could actually be quite long. And as we say that we've said before, that we don't spend a lot of time doing that, monitoring a lot. Every now and then we'll go through a period where we're trying to get an idea of what's going on, but as in a general thing, no, we don't spend our time doing that. And so I was writing this particular person back explaining it, and the person wrote me back, and then I finally understood the question, because the person wrote me back and said, oh no, I'm not trying to get Chris to, have to watch any of this or whatever. Just ask the Galactics what they think. And then it dawned on me the perspective, and this is what's really important, trying to understand other people's perspectives so that you can actually have a meaningful conversation. So I finally got it, because I think in that particular instance, the thought is that Chris, at times, like he just did with Isaac, was acting more as a conduit. Just, I want to hear what they have to say. Will you just do it so I can hear them kind of conversation? So what I want you all to understand, and if you want to make any statement on this, of course you can, Chris, is that that's not what Chris's purpose is. His purpose is way more than that. And so although in the beginning, even if you go back historically and you go back to the beginning, even when I think, Chris, you were putting things on YouTube in the beginning, what you're going to see is more of a conduit. But Chris himself is expected to learn and grow and pull down information and to bring it through, discern it, and bring it out as truth, either pulling it from the Akashic or pulling it from wherever. And so the expectation of Chris from the Galactican Guides in his growth is that he will take whatever questions come through. He will actually learn a little bit about it. He will then pull through the information that he can find, and then he can consult with the Galactics, or the Galactics will also like to contribute in the conversation. But the idea of Chris's role as just being a conduit, that expectation has changed. And so when we were doing some of the last Q&As, it took a very long time to actually put the Q&As together. It took a lot of time for Chris because he literally was looking at things, doing it. So we decided, well, we feel the Q&As are extremely important, but we need to actually just do a few at a time, because then it takes he doesn't have the enormous amount of time that he was actually spending on some of these Q&As preparing for it. And I don't know if there anything else you want to say to that.
No, you said just fine.
So I just wanted to give everybody a little bit better understanding as to why we say really be specific about the questions and what you want to know. If you're watching a show, then ask the question. You can certainly reference the show if you want, but instead of saying a generalization, what do you think? Because we're going to end up coming back to you saying you're supposed to be discerning the kernels of truth, is what we're going to end up coming back and having to say, is if there's a specific question within that, whatever you listen to, ask the specific question. And then that would be very helpful to us here. So anyway, we are doing 3 questions tonight. We're going to, wait and see how it works, how many questions per show we're going to do, but I at least wanted to give you some generalized explanation of how things have changed, and the expectations of Chris have changed because he's expected to learn and grow just like the rest of us. So anyway, first question was from a person who was actually at a temple in Tokyo, and so I think you're going to include the picture.
Yes, I can do that.
Okay,
yes.
you'll include the picture. So I wish I could even say this temple, but I can't. Can you pronounce that at all?
No, just insert Japanese word here.
With a dash JI on the end. I don't know what that word is. Okay. So this person went to this temple and said, I put on my best protection for energy harvesting before entering, and went and sat down in the inner temple. It was beautiful, but many people who were sitting were nodding off. I declared the space neutral, but then had a really tough time getting the next sentence out for the good galactic story, for them to come and do some cleansing. It's like my mind went blank. I forced it out, then my mind blank went away, but still felt like there was a kind of like a psychic block that had occurred. That went away soon after I stepped outside. And I remember what Chris said about harvesting spheres, needing to see sky and spires and the like. So I went into the courtyard and looked up, and sure enough, and this is the most atypical temple I have seen. And again, we're going to insert a picture. And so she wanted to know Chris's thoughts on that particular temple in Japan.
Well, there are a couple things that I will say here. The reason your mind went blank is because the binary network and the energy collection causes this. Knowing that you were saying the words to actually stop this from taking place, causing your brain to become forgetful. And I've had this too, even with wards and revocations and audits that I do on a regular basis. All of a sudden I won't remember the words of them for a particular thing, just to keep me ensnared in whatever programming the binary network or what have you wants to keep me ensnared in. And this person I did a read for not that long ago. And this part I can say, I just won't say their name. I did bilocate into this particular temple, and I did find a harvester energy collector. Weird thing was, I found 3 goopy-looking spindly beings at the bottom. Usually I only find 1, and they were all hiding and huddling in the corner. They weren't very hard to get rid of, and I got out of there, and then that was that. Well, it turned out some neutrality declarations that had been done earlier with a friend of ours that lives in that area actually started to work, and the spindly beings were finding some of their old refuges to actually take cover in. And what was happening was that's why these people were nodding off so quickly, and that the people were becoming so forgetful. is because the fact that these beings were drawing in more than they normally would in that one spot. And this is a popular spot in Tokyo, from what I understand it. And I don't want any hate mail for bashing this temple, because I'm not bashing it. I'm just distincting between the good intentions of the parishioners and the bad intentions of the archons that were there. But I took care of that one, and it shouldn't be too much of a problem. But I would still suggest anyone living there that, or any other temple for that matter, still go through the neutrality declaration and still revoke any contracts or anything of the sort when you come out of the place, or any other temple or church for that matter, or historic site. So with that, we'll go on to the next one.
So the next question was, could you talk about some of the hidden earth history of the Greek goddess, is it Hecate?
Hecate.
Okay, Hecate. She has a relation to Apollo and Helios, but I am wondering about what is her true history with humanity on this planet?
And this is very interesting. I'm going to read this from a notebook. Isaac, of course, brought this channeling through, and this connects, synchronistically enough to other things that we were finding out about the binary network. This goes back to the history of the moon itself. I looked into this history and found Hecate, Trivia were the same goddess, Roman and Greek equivalents, and also the moon god Janus, who is the guardian of doorways, portals, and entryways and gates. And what happened was, you may have heard me refer to in some dreams to somebody that we laughingly called the Dick consciousness. Well, this was actually the AI consciousness that now inhabits the moon. And this is the basis for the sky portion of the Arconian binary network, or the last of the space portion of it, and one of the oldest. And we came to find out that even though the binary network was created in 1964 by the Nazis, they thought they were the ones enslaving mankind with this binary network. Well, Janus was already in the sky. Of course, the moon was already there. And he had actually taken over as the avatar for the binary network's AI at least 500,000 years ago. So he was actually in the same quagmire as the rest of the galactics were at that time, and he never came out of his dark period. Well, where Hecate comes into this was a very complex web. I will try to annotate this as much as I can. Like I said, with Trivia and Hecate, there were portions of this where she was not only in the process of creating nymph-like beings, but she was also in the process of actually rendering aid. She was a two-faced. And we were told that any being that is two-faced in history is actually artificial intelligence being interpreted by ancient peoples. And this is actually, I will go ahead and I will read this channeling by Isaac. And I will try to dumb down as much as possible some of the stuff I brought through in downloads earlier. It's just a bunch of scribblings, but I will try to abbreviate it. Isaac here, everyone. The being you all know as Hecate or Trivia is not what she appears. Think of this for a moment, if you will. The mindless trivia of the day that program. Hold on, excuse me a minute. The mindless trivia of the day that programs the so-called weak-minded cause. Excuse me, I am so very sorry. I'm having a hard time reading this. Give me just a moment.
He really does scribble.
Okay. The mindless trivia of the day that programs the so-called weak-minded cause one to be distracted from their given sole purpose. The TV you all watch with the violence of the full moon is as literal as you see and feel. Janus, the moon soul trap, so-called God, came to the moon in the time of Maldek's destruction. In this, he brought the flame of programming the Archontic invaders wished him to. His torch was and still is a key that his sister holds the other of. And I actually came to find out that Hecate is associated with the dual torch. I found out these are like the dual keys that you would find on a nuclear sub. The Nazis that inhabit the moon actually have the means to shut their computer systems off, or they think they do, with a dual key system such as this. But there is actually a more advanced version that they don't know about that is still up there. Okay. Hecate was corrupted even further back in time than he. He is the corruption of the full moon, as she is the corruption of the new moon. Together, they make up the for and against within the Arconian binary network, and as such, compete for ascendance. She is far worse than he, because she is the queen of the decrepit and vile dehumanization towards her fellow women. Just a moment. She is the reason certain pornography exists at all, creating new quote-unquote nymphs with Orion magic, meaning the clones of the women that can send her brother Janus askew. You see, do you not, that she is of Orion's belt, and he is and was the victim of nymphonic temptations. She alone claims sovereignty over the naked forms of women. She alone feels that she can control what she feels she created, just as he feels that he created the concept of God and Source. The true master race, quote-unquote, of the white royal blood created the bindings that he uses. However, it is she that is the more dangerous, because men fall victim unknowingly to the wiles of the feminine promises. He is the moon trap, as she is his trap. Get it now? All AI in your history is two-faced. There are few exceptions to this. Remember this, please. Blessings to you all. Isaac. And in this was actually a very fascinating set of events that I came to find out. Any of the three-headed goddesses that you find out in history are this person, or this being, and the two-headed gods of anything, or two-faced gods, are all artificial intelligence. There are where she said they said she created nymphs. This was in the trivia history. I came to find out that the Orion Greys and the artificial intelligence actually clone these nymph vampiric type women, and yes, they do exist, unfortunately. I came to find out they are a dark version of people misinterpret them as fairies, but think of them as more a type of spindly being that isn't necessarily so spindly. They are a female form of vampire that existed in virtually all Earth ages. So that actually came up. And the fact that people get these things all screwed up, like the gods and goddesses that they attributed to, say, just Enki and Enlil, or all of the female goddesses are just one person or two people. I came to find out that's an entangling of all of this AI together. Basically, I'm trying to laymanize this for a minute. Think of a fingerprint that has been duplicated a million times. And seers and psychics are actually channeling what they think is, say, Enki, Enlil, Jesus, Zeus, anybody, or the sacred feminine. This AI is duplicating this fingerprint all across the board. And this is basically what this binary network is also doing. And let's see if I can actually I will actually go ahead and scan this particular page for people if they wish to see my notes. But I also came to find out that part of Enki's personality was also duplicated, and that is the AI planetoid we know as Jupiter. So the only ones that are actually left out of all these AI heavy hitters are, I believe, Hecate and Janus. And those are the only two of the space AIs that are actually remaining out of this. I hope I didn't confuse anybody, but I'm just saying this was the history that I actually came to find out, and I will leave links on the YouTube description of these different histories that I came to correlate with my notes. So, Joanna?
Yeah, so what was interesting, just as an aside, because I think we get a little bit in awe here when some certain synchronicities pop up. So here we were learning a little bit more about, again, the one we lovingly call the Dick consciousness, and understanding that really, he was based on or uploaded from Janus, and learning all about who Janus was in history. And then lo and behold, within 24 hours, we get a question that leads us to understanding the whole concept, better understanding of the Arconian binary network, because his sister is also involved in this.
Mm-hmm.
And so we found the whole thing fascinating because it just opened up our understanding of all of this, in such a synchronistic and crazy way. And that kind of stuff happens to us a lot, and it still is awe-inspiring, when even for us to doubt, and then we start to see all these synchronicities and go, this is just crazy how this is all falling together, but it really happened. So I just wanted to let you know that we were fascinated by this. Mm-hmm. So the last question we'll answer tonight says, hey Chris, quick question. For the past 2 weeks, every time my cat gets near me, I pet her or she sits on me, and I get a tingling sensation that starts at my crown chakra and goes down my spine. What is this?
Well, I put here, I feel since animals have come into this life to help heal us, she is blocking or removing programming or other energetic ailments from you, resulting in your frequency spiking. I feel this is what you feel. And I have actually felt this before, even with spirit animals being around. And they could come in to raise the mood, but they're also trying to remove ailments. I've seen this with many pets and other people's pets. And I've been around that, I'm loving up somebody's puppy or kitten or something, and then I feel that same thing. I may have come in there with, I wasn't in the greatest mood or something, and these animals will help raise this energy. What they're doing is they're filtering this and pulling this away from you, and your own energy is actually raising, the frequency is raising as a result. And this is what I know, and then also I can see Isaac is bobbing like a bobblehead up there. So yeah, and I know, and I can feel from other guides, even though I don't see them, that this was actually correct information. And if at some point they wish to elaborate on this, they can do so. But this is the information I know.
So I'm going to add one more question, because it's actually come to me a lot this week. And Chris, this is an impromptu one, so I hope you're ready. How are you feeling since your session with Inga? Because inquiring minds, everyone who has listened out there wants to know how you're doing.
Well, this was actually very interesting, and this was something I didn't even expect. I didn't even know there was this bad of a blockage. So, Inga, if you're hearing this, this was very beneficial. Even though about 6 hours after your read, I felt like I was hit by a bus. So, this was in a good way. The emotions were total pendulum swing. I couldn't keep anything together. It was what was very fascinating about this, this particular blockage that I didn't even know was there for a very, very long time. There was a portion of it that I knew about, and people that listened to me on the Diamonds Network and later on in some sessions, you'll hear me talking about an implant that sat at the center of my brain that was put in during the SSP time. It was very similar to how some SSP MyLab people have the ocular implant, very much like an internal Borg implant. Well, this thing I knew didn't belong there, but I knew that there was some kind of filtration going on with it that I was not ready to look into, certain knowledge I was not ready to look into. Well, Inga removed this thing completely from me, and a blockage that was between my brainstem and the middle of my back. What I found out was there is an energy center in between there, in between the platinum chakra, which is the base of the neck, and in between there and in between the shoulder blades, which are several energy centers there that look like wings if they were to pop out. This involves creativity and downloads. And what happened with this was very fascinating. You'll hear on that reading where she was referring to, and I was referring to, different time frames: 18, 28, 38, 43, 48, and so on. Well, what those were actually referring to was a concept called the cosmic clock. And the cosmic clock is the universe and multiverses way and sources way of giving you downloads from the overall archive nodes that are out there, the Akashic nodes, and the creative inspiration that you're supposed to be bringing through. And what synchronizes up with this is this. Friends for years were telling me to take my stuff and write fiction. Well, there was this programmed side of me that always thought there was something wrong with that because I didn't want what I did to seem like a lie. I didn't want people viewing it, I was like, oh, if he made that up, what else did he make up? And, and that just kind of took over this whole thing. I didn't write poetry. I didn't write fiction. We've only begun to start doing this. Well, when she removed that I would have to say about a day or so after, I all of a sudden felt, this energy just spiking, through my spine. Everything was balancing out, and I actually started to write ideas down for shows. I'm not going to tell you what they are, of course. You're going to eventually find that out when they're created, and for books and poems and such. Well, I would have to say at least decades worth of blockages all decided to pour out at once. And I ended up creating an entire new story Bible with script points, the whole thing within 2 hours. And what had happened was that particular valve, let's say, that was supposed to be getting downloads was actually getting them clear and concise again. Even though I've been getting downloads for creating other objects and stuff we've been working on, it wasn't completely the same. It was another thread of this. It involved my own imagination and my own ability to actually steer that ship. And it wasn't just based on the galactics. It was based on, of course, characters and stuff are based on them. But it actually was more of it pouring out. And I noticed when I started doing this that my energy spiked twice where it was. And this pissed the dick consciousness off like you wouldn't believe. And a lot of these other entities. And there was another day in there where they tried to beat the crap out of me. Then I went back to doing this again with writing things. Then they went after Joanna, and then now I went back to writing things again, and it's actually evened out again. So this is actually one of the things that happened. That blockage is no longer there. That implant is no longer there. And it's not going to ever be there again. But I do know some fascinating things have been happening, just like if there's some emails that you haven't checked or didn't know existed in an inbox. There were messages even from myself, from the backstage, and from earlier on in history that I managed to channel out as well. And more history about myself then, and not necessarily the blockages that some of the SSP memories had there. This was more the ancient stuff and the more relevant stuff to the now. And these were the things that Inga actually did for me, and that I actually were able to clear out. Well, then now, because we've discovered a lot of this information about Janus and all this, he's actually fairly PO'd that managed to do this, but he didn't have the same kind of manipulative hold as he did prior. He tried. He tried to affect my heart. He tried to affect my brain, and he couldn't do it completely. He couldn't sway me emotionally, and he couldn't sway me to actually do hardly anything, which he really couldn't completely before. But it was there was less of a punch there. I was actually able to actually look at him and even speak to him for a little bit, even though it was painful. It actually didn't affect me like it would have before, so I gained a greater immunity. So that's actually the things that went on after my session.
And I will say that, when Chris, and we've never posted, and I don't know when I'm ever going to say yes to posting the session that Chris and I first had. But I will tell you that, for some people out there, when Chris is working on you just the same way that Inga was working on him, and others, I'm not just saying them. Sometimes people can go in and they're going to clear some things out of your energy, and you are going to end up with this kind of delayed response, and you are going to have potentially physical pain potentially. I know I
Mm-hmm.
did. I felt like I had just come out of back surgery, and it took me several days to recover. So, actually, Chris, this was your first experience at that, so he may be maybe just a little bit better prepared to let people know you understand if they're feeling a little achy afterwards because now you've experienced it
Mm-hmm.
yourself.
Yes, yes. I've
So
never been on the receiving end of it quite like that.
yeah.
Yeah.
So and we certainly don't want again for anyone to be afraid to do it, but I think it always amazes people sometimes that when Inga was on there saying take it easy, and I know Chris was thinking I'm fine, and then 6 hours later he's like what the heck, that I understood completely because that's what he did to me. But anyway, that's a whole nother story. So we thank everyone tonight for joining us, and we really, really hope you have enjoyed anything. And Chris, you want to give the last affirmation and blessing?
Yes, sure. The last one is from Perry. He has never actually spoken before. He's Percy's brother. Just to let everybody know. May your home and work life be filled with balance, and may your soul be filled with joy. Perry.
All right. Everyone, thank you so much for joining us tonight, and we hope you have a great rest of the week. And we are going to put our finger to the wind next week, and we're going to tell you everything we know that's kind of going on right there, out there, the game plan, the chess moves, everything that we can decipher. So you may have really find the next show next Tuesday interesting as we talk about what we feel is going on and the plans of the good and the bad guys. So everyone have a great rest of the week. Good night.
Good
Good
night,
night,
everyone.
everybody. Thank you.